imagine this, the possibility of actually seeing a deadly event coming, but not months in advance, but like within the next 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Like imagine the power to like step in and actually change, the course of someone's life, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're diving into today.
Amazing.
And to help me out, I have an expert here with me.
It's great to be here.
Glad to have you.
Yeah.
So we are talking about a new study.
Yes.
It was published in the European Heart Journal, and it's really exploring how artificial intelligence could actually transform the way that we are able to predict life-threatening heart rhythm problems, arrhythmias and things like that.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And, this is so critical because we're talking about sudden cardiac death.
Right.
Which is, millions of people around the world die every year because of it.
Yeah, it's a huge problem.
And what's so scary about it is that it often strikes with absolutely no warning,
Right.
even in individuals who haven't even been diagnosed with heart disease.
You don't know it's coming.
Yeah.
It's like that.
So how do you even know to be worried about it, right?
Absolutely.
So this is really the challenge that this research is trying to tackle.
Yeah.
Current methods for predicting these events tend to focus on these longer-term risk factors.
Yeah, that's right.
But this study is investigating a potential for short-term prediction,
Right.
which would be a total game changer
Absolutely.
for people who are at risk.
Yeah.
So today, for you, the listener, what we're going to do is we're going to do a deep dive into this study, and we're going to understand how this AI actually works and what the potential impact on cardiac care, could actually be.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So let's jump in.
Let's do it.
So what is this breakthrough all about?
Well, so at the heart of this breakthrough, no pun intended, it's a great team, actually. It's a collaboration between experts from INSERM, which is the French National Institute of Health and Medical Research,
Okay.
Paris Cité University, the APHP, which is the Paris Public Hospital Group. And then we also have colleagues in the U.S.,
What?
some engineers from Cardiologs, which is now part of Philips, and also from Harvard University.
Wow. So it's a very international team here.
Really is a global effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they all work together to develop what we call an artificial neural network.
Okay. Now, an artificial neural network, we hear that all the time.
Yeah, it's a bit of a buzzword these days.
Can you break that down a bit?
Yeah, so think of it like this.
Okay.
Imagine you have this complex network inside a computer system, and this network is designed to learn and recognize patterns from like huge amounts of data.
Okay.
And it learns a lot like our brains do.
Okay.
So you feed it a lot of information, and it starts to learn how to connect the dots, right? And make these connections between these artificial neurons, and that's how it starts to identify those subtle relationships and start to make these amazing predictions.
So what kind of massive amount of data did they feed this digital brain
Yeah, that's right.
to teach it about heart rhythms?
So, well, the scale of the data is truly mind-blowing.
Okay.
They analyzed data from over 240,000
Wow.
ambulatory electrocardiograms.
Okay, ECGs.
ECGs, yeah.
Now, these aren't just the quick snapshots that you get when you go to the doctor's office, are they?
No, these are portable devices that people wear, and they continuously record the heart's electrical activity.
Oh, wow.
So we're talking like 24 to 48 hours, typically, as you go about your normal life.
So you can see like the vast scale of information that this AI had to sort through and learn from.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Over 200,000 of these extended recordings
Yeah.
capturing heart activity during, all these different conditions.
All different things, yeah.
And it wasn't even just from one place, right?
That's right.
It was from all over the world.
It was a global study.
Yeah.
They actually used data from 6 different countries.
Right.
The USA, France, UK, South Africa, India, and the Czech Republic.
Wow.
So a really good, diverse data set, which is really important.
Yeah, because then it makes the AI more robust, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because it's learning from all these different populations, not just one specific group of people.
Exactly.
So we're talking millions, countless millions of individual heartbeats that this AI had to process.
A huge amount, yeah.
So what was it looking for in all of that data?
Okay, so this is the really interesting part.
Okay.
The AI wasn't necessarily looking for those obvious big irregularities in heart rhythm, the things that that a doctor would typically spot right away and say, okay, that's a clear sign of danger.
Yeah, yeah.
It was focusing on these super subtle variations in the electrical activity during each beat.
Each individual beat.
Each one, yeah.
Yeah.
And specifically, the researchers were really interested in the timing of the heart's electrical cycle.
Okay.
Like how long it takes for the ventricles.
Now remind me, what are the ventricles again?
So the ventricles are the main pumping chambers of the heart.
Okay, right.
So they were looking at the timing of the ventricles to activate and then relax during a heartbeat.
So it wasn't just like, whether the rhythm was off.
Right.
But the actual really fine-tuned...
Tiny variations, yeah.
Yeah, these tiny little variations within each beat.
Yeah, exactly.
These are things that, like, the human eye might not even pick up, right?
You wouldn't see it.
Yeah.
And this is where the AI just blows us out of the water, right?
Yeah.
Because it can look at these huge data sets and pick out these tiny things.
Yeah.
Dr. Laurent Fiorina, who was the lead author on the study, he said that by analyzing a standard 24-hour electrical signal from one of these ambulatory ECGs, the AI could identify people who are at a much higher risk of developing a serious heart arrhythmia in the following 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
That's a really short window.
It is.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and he stressed that, if these arrhythmias aren't treated quickly, they can lead to fatal cardiac arrest.
So this is really highlighting, like, the power of these time-sensitive interventions, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The fact that we could actually save lives if we could intervene at the right moment.
Yeah.
But when we talk about prediction, obviously the key is accuracy.
Of course.
So how well did this AI actually perform in the study?
Well, the accuracy is impressive, especially at this early stage.
Okay.
The AI was able to correctly identify patients who were at risk of a serious arrhythmia 70% of the time.
70%.
Yeah, which is amazing.
That's really good.
And what's even more encouraging is that it was able to correctly identify patients who are not at risk 99.9% of the time.
99.9.
Yeah.
That's incredibly accurate.
Yeah, very low rate of those false positives, which is what you want.
Right, because you don't want to be causing people unnecessary stress, anxiety, and giving them treatments that they don't actually need.
Exactly, yeah. You don't want to overtreat.
But, we do have to remember, as the researchers point out, that these are findings from analyzing existing data.
Right.
The AI is still being evaluated.
That's right.
So, it's showing really great promise, but there's more to be done.
Absolutely.
So if this technology continues to show this level of accuracy in real-world situations, what could the future of cardiac care actually look like?
Well, that's the exciting part.
Yeah.
I mean, you can imagine all sorts of things.
Yeah.
I think in the near future, one of the first places we might see it used is in hospitals.
Okay.
So for patients who are already identified as being high risk, this would provide an extra layer of safety, I guess, of vigilance.
Yeah, like a backup.
Yeah, exactly.
Checking to make sure everything's okay.
Yeah, like a really smart monitoring system that can actually alert the doctors, way ahead of time.
Before something might happen.
Yeah, it's like having an extra pair of eyes, but super powered eyes.
That makes a lot of sense, especially in the hospital setting where there's already constant monitoring going on.
Yeah.
This could be like this incredibly sensitive early warning system.
Right.
But what about, beyond the hospital?
Yeah.
Could this actually reach, more people in their everyday lives?
Well, that's the long-term goal, really.
Okay.
One thought is that we could integrate this into those ambulatory Holter monitors.
Right, those portable ones?
Yeah, exactly.
The ones that people wear while they're going about their lives.
Right. So you could get much more proactive risk assessment for people just in their normal lives.
And the study even mentioned a possibility of this being integrated into smartwatches.
Oh, yeah, that's the dream.
Which sounds like something out of a movie.
It does. It's very futuristic.
But the potential is just massive. Yeah. It is huge.
I mean, imagine getting an early warning just on your wrist.
Yeah, it'd be incredible.
You're like, hey, something might be wrong. You should go get checked out.
Yeah, that's the future of healthcare right there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. This
really does feel like a huge shift in how we prevent sudden cardiac death.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Professor Eloy Marajan, who's one of the key researchers in this study, he actually described it as a paradigm change.
Yeah, he's right.
So can you help us understand what he meant by that?
Yeah, so what's really different here is that we're moving from, like, predicting risk
Okay.
to predicting an actual event.
Okay.
So traditionally, we've been pretty good at identifying people who are at risk of heart problems over, a few years, right?
Yeah.
So we look at things like their medical history, their lifestyle.
Cholesterol levels, blood pressure, family history, all.
Yeah, all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But what we've always struggled with is predicting those sudden events.
The things that happen like minutes, hours, or days before a cardiac arrest.
Yeah, that very short window.
Exactly.
Where, if you could just get in there and do something, you could prevent it.
Exactly.
But we've never been able to see it coming.
Right.
So this AI could give us that ability
Yeah, it's a hope.
to actually see those events coming.
Yeah, like a crystal ball almost.
So we're talking about 70% accuracy in identifying at-risk patients and 99.9% accuracy in identifying those who aren't at risk, which is amazing.
It's great, yeah.
But what are the next steps for this research?
Well, the most important thing now is to do some clinical studies.
Okay.
We have to see if it actually works in the real world. So we have to test it in real clinical settings with new patients to see if the predictions hold up.
So it's one thing for it to, look back at data and find patterns.
Right.
But it's a whole other thing for it to be able to predict what's going to happen in real time.
Exactly.
And to actually, affect patient care.
You've got to test it in the real world.
Yeah. And Dr. Fiorina was very clear that these clinical trials are just absolutely essential before we can actually start using this technology in, real medical situation.
You have to be sure it's safe and effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he also said something really interesting. He said that he believes AI has the power to radically transform how we prevent serious arrhythmias.
I think he's right.
That's a bold statement.
It is bold.
But when you look at these early findings, it really does seem possible.
It does, yeah.
So for you, the listener, this deep dive into this European Heart Journal study, it's showing us that we've taken a huge step forward in using AI to predict deadly heart arrhythmias.
Absolutely.
This AI has been able to analyze just huge amounts of ECG data.
Yeah.
And it's been able to find these subtle signals that could actually indicate that somebody is at risk of a really dangerous, life-threatening event.
Within 2 weeks.
Within the next 2 weeks, which is just incredible. Yeah.
Very short time frame.
And, if these findings are actually validated through more research and clinical trials, this technology could actually change the way we do cardiac care.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Could help us detect these problems early, intervene earlier, and ultimately, save lives that might otherwise be lost to sudden cardiac death.
It's preventative medicine at its best.
It really is.
Yeah.
It makes you think about, what the future of medicine will look like.
Right, yeah.
So here's a thought for you to consider, the listener.
Okay.
If AI can monitor our hearts in this way and potentially predict these life-threatening events in this very short time frame.
Yeah.
What are the implications for all kinds of health monitoring?
It opens up a lot of possibilities.
Could we be entering a new era of preventative medicine where AI is constantly analyzing our biological data?
It's not just about heart health anymore.
Yeah, and giving us these early warnings to help us stay healthy.
Yeah. It's a whole new world.
It's a really fascinating and potentially life-saving avenue to think about.
Absolutely. It's very exciting.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And to you, the listener, as always, thanks for listening.
See you next time.
And we will see you in the next deep dive.
Bye.